Vygandas Usackas, you have been the EU's special representative in Afghanistan for a number of months now. You've had time to gather your first impressions, and I'd like to begin by asking you whether, from your perspective, in Afghanistan, the glass is half full or half empty?
Well, Afghanistan is indeed a very fascinating and challenging place. I often refer that as a center of the universe, where the synergies of political, cultural, economic and security development all merge together. It is a country with a long history, a very complicated history, which still influences the current developments. And I think European Union, and especially Germany and other member states of European Union, are doing a tremendously important job for the sake and benefit of our own national security, as well as for the well-being of the Afghan people.
You know very well, in Afghanistan, very many parties are involved in the political process, not just the Afghan people themselves and the Afghan leaders, but also the EU, you've mentioned already. NATO are involved with their ISAF forces. The US have also got their own independent forces in Afghanistan. Who's in the driving seat?
Well, we all are part of the team. And that's the beauty of our, in that respect, that the beauty of our engagement is and presence in Afghanistan, that we all work as a team. Although there is a distinct US role and engagement, a huge overwhelming presence of United States Army and development arm. In Afghanistan, we are at within the state of operations, and we work as a team with General Petraeus, with Mark Sedwill, civilian representative of NATO, with Stefan de Mistura, UNAMA's special representative, myself as a EU representative, representing, coordinating and leading the implementation of the EU action plan on behalf of all the EU.
But you use the word coordinating there, and you're putting a very positive gloss on this. I picked up a German newspaper just the other day, and it described this process of coordination that you're describing in Afghanistan, and I'm quoting here, as 9 years of trying this and that in a more or less uncoordinated fashion. Well, a lot of people see it that way.
Well, it may have been the case 9 years or even 7 years ago, but I would assert that since adoption of the EU action plan in Afghanistan, I think we have really defined a comprehensive approach towards security, political and economic needs of the country. We work as a team with Americans, with NATO, and also with other stakeholders, be it China, Australia, Japan, Russia, or anyone else. And I would again, reassert that we have an excellent team of the best and brightest generals and diplomats in Kabul, and we are pushing our agenda in support of Afghan-led processes in this country.
But when I hear you, and I've been listening very closely in the last couple of days as I've been looking forward to this interview, I've been listening to what your agenda as an EU representative in Afghanistan is, which has a lot to do with promoting the rule of law, which has a lot to do with civil society, agricultural development, rural development, health projects, education. NATO and the US, meanwhile, are talking about regaining the military initiative. There's a sort of a disconnect there, maybe.
No, it isn't a disconnect, because the European Union. I think it's important to remind that we all share the common strategy of international community's involvement in Afghanistan, which is clear, hold, build, and transfer. While NATO is focusing on clear, we, as the European Union, are focusing our resources, by and large civilian resources, development resources, and political engagement on build and transfer. And that's how we complement each other in a very close, cohesive way.
Let's talk about some of the particular issues on the ground, as it were, in Afghanistan. A lot of people ask themselves the question, is President Karzai part of the problem or part of the solution?
Well, President Karzai is part of reality. Reality that he is the president of the country with whom we have to deal. We have to respect and to help to lead the country towards reconciliation and sustainable development. What is important, I think, to acknowledge that President Karzai shares a vision of a peaceful Afghanistan, sustainable Afghanistan, living in peace with itself and with its neighbors. It's a tough puzzle. It's a challenging place. And as NATO advances the military operation in the south and in the west, It's going to be, it's going to be up to the governance of Afghanistan to ensure the whole part of it. And that's why European Union is dedicating its resources for the public administration, for the rural development and agriculture, increasing our common budget from 150 million euros this year to 200 million euros for the next 3 years annually, and alongside with the German contribution, the UK and other member states.
Now, one particular project, of course, that the European Union has been involved in is UPOL, the initiative to train up using police officers, generally who have European backgrounds, EU backgrounds, to train up local Afghan police officers. There are big question marks about how well that project is going.
Well, to be honest, indeed, there were a lot of discussions about UPOL and its footprint in Afghanistan. I think, because it was a part of the compromise of the member states, and it's always you're targeting on the common denominator among the member states, we have probably got a too large mandate with 6 objectives and with too little resources. Having said this, I'm glad to know that at the moment we have a review of UPOL's contribution in Afghanistan. If we agree, which is the case, that at the end of the day is going to be rule of law and governance which will matter and will restore the trust of the government vis-à-vis the population of Afghanistan. It's going to be civilian police who will carry on the task, and UPOL is well equipped to do that. During the last year, UPOL has trained 11,000 civilian police. We are launching a new project, building up a staff college in Kabul and Bamyan training center for both male and female, and that will be a very significant contribution for the future of civilian police in Afghanistan, which is supported by the Afghans and by the NATO mission training as well.
Okay, another very important question is, has the time now come to talk to the Taliban?
Well, we have expressed our support for the Afghan-led peace and reconciliation talks. We've seen the data which just came out, I believe, yesterday, showing that 83% of Afghan population support reconciliation and talks with Taliban. And it's going to be the Afghan-led process. At the same time, I think it's important to acknowledge and to know that it should be a process, not a just one-day break deal, which would include a broader part of the society, the female community, the youth, different parts of Afghanistan, and that is what the new High Peace Council is all about.
One question I must ask you, the watchword on the debate around Afghanistan now is transition. NATO is beginning to talk about 2014 as the transition deadline. Are you in accordance with that? Is that a good date? Is that useful?
I think it's a date which is realistic. But again, I think our involvement, engagement and contribution for our own national interests, so as to see that Afghanistan will never come back to the status of safe haven for the international terrorists. Our approach should be, of course, driven not by the calendar but by the developments on the ground. However, 2014 is a realistic date when we can review and see the military footprint to be significantly reduced, giving the leadership to the Afghan National Army and police, while at the same time I think we'll have to demonstrate staying power and continue our political engagement not only in Afghanistan but also with the neighbors, to provide a new paradigm based on cooperation rather than the rivalry.
Special Representative Usackas, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you.